Linda here with Mindy's Craft Shack. Today I'm going to be doing a hydro dip with spray paints. So you're going to need a bucket of water. I use a 5-gallon bucket that I got from Walmart. And you'll need a tumbler that's been spray painted white. Your spray paints, choose whatever colors you want. I'm using blue, gray, and fluorescent green. I'm going to be doing a sports themed tumbler that's been hydro dipped, and I'm sure for those football fans out there that know those colors, they are Seattle Seahawks colors. And then I'm going to be doing a hydro dip on a glittered cup also. So both cups are going to be Seattle Seahawks themed. And let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and make sure your cans of paint are shook up really well. And before I started this video, I went ahead and did that. Now, you need to remember when you're doing your spray paints in this water, you want to, the spray paint that you put in first is going to be the prominent color. So on this white cup that I have here, I want to go ahead and make the navy blue my more prominent. So I'm going to go ahead and spray the navy blue in there. And then I'm going to follow it with the gray. And then with the neon green. And then I'm going to take my white tumbler and have it at an angle, and when I'm going down in the water, I'm going to twist it. And there you go. If you feel like it needs more paint to it, you can go ahead and double dip it. Like this side really didn't get a lot, so what I would do is go down in that angle again, and I'll go ahead and show you what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to go down in that angle and bring it out. And then that way I've gotten a lot of the cup. A lot of gray in there, a lot of green, and a lot of blue. And then I'm going to shake it off really well. So what I'm going to do is just let this hang dry for a couple of hours, and then we'll come back and make sure it's dry. Since I'm doing the same colors, I'm going to go ahead and not worry about having to change my water out. But since we're going to be doing this blue and it's kind of silvery glittered colored cup, I'm not going to have a lot of the navy blue in there. So what I'm going to do is primarily concentrate on the granite or gray, on the gray and the neon green for my colors. So I really want to put a lot of gray in there. Like so. that green in. Like I said, I am going to have a little bit of blue, but my primary color, I want to have that gray. And we're going to do the same with this. We're just going to dip it and twist and bring it out. And there you go. You still have a lot of area where that glitter shines through. And with this, I'm definitely not going to double dip it, because I want a lot of that glitter to shine through. So these cups are, you know, with the spray paint are actually great for hydro dipping glittered cups. And then we're just going to do the same with this and allow it to dry. I'm going to shake it off. And we're just going to allow that to dry. Now probably another couple hours. Now that these are dry, I'm going to go ahead and add my epoxy. I have already mixed up my A and B. This is of the Aluminite clear casting. It is FDA approved. You want to make sure you're using FDA approved epoxy, because your mouth is going to be going on this, or you know, if you're making something that food goes onto, this is safe to use. Also, you want to make sure you have your nitrate gloves and a mask. This is a N95 mask. It's got a good filter in it. And if you need something more of a protectant, then go ahead and get a respirator and use that. The N95 is like a respirator. It doesn't allow for the toxins or anything to get into your lungs. So whatever you're more comfortable in. I do have a respirator, but I use this for when I'm doing my videos, so you can better hear and hopefully understand me. So what I'm going to do is I've taken the glittered cup that we hydro dipped, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting the epoxy on. I've gone over it and made sure there's no bubbles. If you see bubbles, that means water's trapped under there, so you'll kind of want to smooth those out to get that water off. If you start putting on your epoxy and there's bubbles and you pop one while you're doing the epoxy, then that epoxy is not going to adhere and you're going to have to start all over. So I'll just go and put it on like I normally do. Now you'll see that it was kind of dull before I started putting it on, and as soon as that epoxy hits it, it starts to liven right up and give it that shine. I'm making sure I get that bottom. I want to make sure my cup is fully covered. And now I'm just going to turn this on. The reason why I manually turn it while I'm putting the epoxy on, it's just easier for me. If you want to turn it on while you're putting the epoxy on, that's totally fine. I just find it easier to get all that epoxy on. And yeah, that's why I do it manually. Make sure you don't have a bunch on the bottom as far as in that middle part where it kind of indents. And then I'm going to take the top and go downward with it, kind of going over that edge. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can put epoxy on. It's just what's more comfortable for you. I seem to have a really good luck with this kind of method that I do. I've tried where I just use my hand and kind of wipe it all over. I always end up with a lot of ripples when it dries. So I just do it this way. And there you have it. It's really livened up and given a real nice shine to that glitter and that paint. So what we'll do is we'll let this dry for 12 hours and then I'll come back and we'll put the decals on it and another coat of epoxy. So we'll see you in a few hours. I've got my cutouts here, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and place my vinyl onto the tumbler. This has been epoxied one time, and since I hydro dipped it, so it's good to go and add whatever you want to it. Now I do have a couple of these already on transfer paper, and this says "This girl loves her," and then I've got hawks cut out, a heart with Seattle Seahawks, and then her name. You'll notice on this, inside the G and the smaller words like love, I don't have that weeded out yet. I have found it's more simple to go ahead and lay it and then weed out those small tiny pieces. And remember, I always put my lid on my cup when I'm going to put the vinyl down, because I use that so I can tell where the middle is. I just use the top of the cup and I look and say, okay, there's the middle right there. And I just center it like so with that. And like I said, this is just how I do it. It's easy for me to do it this way. And it just makes getting out those small pieces of vinyl that like to really stick to the other, you know, to the sides of the letter and stuff, easier to get off. If you've ever noticed some of these, when it gets, the lettering gets this small, some of the connecting lines of the letter tend to get really thin. And so when you're weeding those small areas, you're usually weeding by a thin piece of vinyl, and it pulls up and stretches it out and so forth. So I just tried this one day by mistake. I had forgotten to weed the inside of my letters, and I put it on the cup and I'm reading and I'm like, oh shoot. I messed up, and I thought, well, I wonder how hard it's going to be to just weed that up. And like I said, it was so much easier to weed those small areas after laying it down on the cup. And you can see what I mean just by how fast I've done that, and you know, I've already got it weeded out. And there we go. Alicia for her name. And then this girl loves her hawks. And then I can get rid of this lid. And we're gonna go ahead and start epoxying it. All right, so now I've got parts A and B of Alumilite epoxy. And remember, when you mix Alumilite epoxy, it needs to be a 1-to-1 ratio. I've got my tumbler on my tumbler turner, and we're just gonna start putting that epoxy on. You can tell it really just shines up that hydro dipping, and it just looks great. So I'm gonna let this turn for about 6 hours, and then I can hang dry it after that. Before I go any further and leave this to do its thing, I'm gonna go ahead and take my torch to it and get out any bubbles that may be there. Remember, you want to move this up and down the tumblers so it doesn't sit in one spot. That epoxy is very flammable, and if you leave it on one spot, you're gonna have a fireball. You don't want that. So we're just gonna let this turn, like I said, for about 6 hours. Then I'll hang it, and then I'll be back, and we'll probably put one more coat on. I'll probably won't show you that part. Just know that I've put one more coat on, but I'll come back with the final project. And here is the hydro dipped glittered tumbler finished. Now remember, if you like this video and want to see more, click the subscribe button in the lower right side corner. Also, give me a thumbs up. You can also find me on Facebook in the Facebook group, Mindy's Craft Shack group, and my page, Mindy's Craft Shack. I want to say thank you for watching and hope you have a wonderful day. Love ya. Bye.